This is a video lesson for Module 5, Lesson 31. The Lesson 31 learning target is I can add mixed numbers. So the problems we're going to be solving today are going to be problems where we have a mixed number and we're adding it to a mixed number. So we're going to be showing a couple strategies how we can solve these types of problems numerically. So let's jump into the first problem here. So this problem here is a pretty basic mixed number addition problem, and it's going to help me demonstrate the basics of the other strategies that we'll be seeing later. So when we're adding mixed numbers, we want to add like units. And that means we want to add our whole numbers and our whole numbers and our fractions and our fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this addition sentence, combining my whole numbers and then also adding my fractions. So I can rewrite this problem as 2 plus 1 plus 1/8 plus 5/8. And so all I've done is I've taken my whole numbers and I've put them down here, and my fractions and I've put them down here, rewritten the addition sentence. So after I've done that, I'm going to erase these lines out of the way here. After I've rewritten my addition sentence here, I can combine my whole numbers and my fractions. So 2 plus 1, that's going to give me 3 wholes, and then I'm going to be adding 1/8 plus 5/8, which equals 6/8. So I get my answer of 3 and 6/8. So 3 and 6/8 is my answer. That's my mixed number answer. So once again, that process is separating out our whole numbers and our fractions, combining them with each other, and then bringing them back together to form a mixed number. And so in this case, our fractions, they were added up to something less than 1 whole. But in our next strategy, we're going to see what happens when the fractions that we have in our mixed numbers add up to something more than 1 whole. In this strategy, we're going to be adding like units just like before, but we're going to use decomposition to break apart the new whole that we create. So once again, I'm going to rewrite this problem as an equivalent addition sentence, but I'm going to separate my whole numbers. So I'm going to have 2 plus 3 and my fractions, and then I'm going to be adding 5/8 plus 5/8. So if I combine these two together, what I get is I'm going to have 5. Oops, let's do that in blue. Let's rewrite that in blue. So I'm going to get 5 as my wholes, and then my fractions added together is going to be 10/8. So now that I have 10/8, this is where the decomposition is going to come in. I'm going to decompose 10/8 into 8/8 and 2/8. And the reason I decomposed it into 8/8 is because I'm trying to pull out 1 whole from 10/8. So if I rewrote my addition sentence now, I have 5 plus 8/8 plus 2/8. And since 8/8 is the same as 1 whole, I could rewrite this as 5 plus, now we have 8/8 is 1 whole plus 2/8. And if we combine that all together, we're going to get an answer of 6 and 2/8. So the steps I went through is once again separating out my whole numbers and my fractions, combining my whole numbers and fractions, and then working with this improper fraction using decomposition to make 1 whole and the remaining fractions. And then I added my wholes together and put my fraction back together to form the mixed number of 6 and 2/8. So that's my answer, 6 and 2/8. So there's one more strategy we can use to solve these types of problems numerically, and that's, once again, we're going to be adding like units, so separating our wholes and our fractions, but we're going to be making wholes we're going to decompose and then make the next whole number. So let me show you what I mean. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my whole number to the mixed number, the first mixed number. So I'm going to add 6 wholes to 5 and 5/8, and I'm going to rewrite my number sentence. So if I add 6 wholes to 5 and 5/8, I'm going to get 11, because 6 plus 5 is 11, and 5/8. And then that leaves me, after I've moved this 6 wholes over, that leaves me with my 5/8, so I'm going to have 5/8 remaining. So once I get to this point, I'm going to be looking at this 11 and 5/8, and I'm going to ask myself, how many more 8s do I need to move up to the next hole? Another way to think of this is, how many more 8s do I need to make this 5/8, 8/8? And so I think, well, I need 3 more 8s to make it 8/8, or 1 whole. And so I'm going to decompose the second fraction here. I'm going to pull out 3/8, and since I had 5/8 and I pulled out 3, that leaves me with just 2/8 left over. Then I'm going to combine this 3/8 with the 5/8 up above, and that's going to bring me to the next whole, which is 12. And then this 2/8 is remaining, which I'm going to be able to just add on to my whole number, and I get the answer of 12 and 2/8. So in this strategy, I pulled the whole number from one of the mixed numbers, and I added it to the whole number from the first mixed number to get 11 and 5/8. Then that left me with 5/8 remaining, and I'm going to add that on. Then I asked myself, how many more 8s do I need to make 1 whole, or get to the next whole? And I was able to decompose to pull out 3/8, and that left me with 2/8. I combined the 3/8 to the 5/8 to make the whole and get to 12, and then I was left with 2/8 remaining, which is my answer, 12 and 2/8. So there you have it. There's all the different strategies we can use to add mixed numbers numerically. So you should be able to answer any of the questions in the Lesson 31 problem set. But as always, if you get stuck, you can come back and rewatch any parts of the video to refresh yourself and to help you with any struggles. So good luck with the problem set, and thanks for watching.